One other point on masks, and we don't have a psychiatrist unless somebody wants to speak to this, but I think it's obvious. I don't think we really need to, the harm done to our children in terms of development, speech. I mean, all these things have been written about widely. I mean, just even their oxygen levels.
Senator Johnson, there's one important study that actually ties everything up. It was the Swedish study by Ludvigsen, and he was canceled because of this study. He looked at the 1.95, I think you mentioned it.
1.8, I thought.
1.9 million Swede kids across the entire pandemic, from 0 to 16 years old, all in primary school, secondary school. And what they found was that there were 0 deaths in Sweden in children. And what was critical about that study was that there was no lockdowns, there were no school closures, and there were no masks. It was not even testing whether you had masks and it worked. There were no masks and there were 0 deaths. And that was an actual seminal study. And thank you for mentioning it.
Well, again, we've talked about the stratification of severe illness with COVID that's been ignored, but Dr. Urso.
Yeah, I just wanted to enter into the record, clean this up a little bit. Masks have been looked at for 3 decades or so, where there's been randomized controlled trials. So there's roughly, 12 or so randomized controlled trials. There's 0 randomized controlled trials that show masks stop the spread of respiratory disease. And that's including N95. And for everyone, N stands for non-oil resistant, 95 stands for 95% airborne particles of which all viruses fit through. So I usually tell people that, wearing an N95 also has not been shown in randomized controlled trials to be effective. But more importantly, the capsule on these viruses are an oil capsule. And I tell people it's like peeing in a pool. It goes right through. It doesn't stick to water molecules. It's an oil capsule virus. At the end of the day, the data is what it is. There's 0 randomized controlled trials at all showing that masks stop the spread of upper respiratory disease.
So let's move on to the second pillar, discuss early treatment a little bit more robustly. And I'm